Oh, thank you. It was very nice. Thank you, Matt. It's nice to have at least one live face to aim everything at. So I'll be the instructor for the course. A little bit about my background, and then I'll tell you more about the course. My background is STEM sales and marketing, and in various positions and consulting, big configurations, and so on. And then I taught for over 20 years frameworks and subjects related to STEM sales and marketing to executives through the Caltech Executive Education Program. So I've always sort of spanned this sort of um, uh, bridge between academia and business, and I find that very enjoyable. So this is something I'm very excited about, this course, and this will be, I think this is at the 6th or 7th year of the course, and I think it's my 5th year or 6th year teaching it. So um, let's see, was there anything else I wanted to say here? Oh, so what I do now, I'm semi-retired, and I spend most of my time mentoring UCI inventors and entrepreneurs. So that's what I've done a lot of the National Science Foundation and NIH I-Corps programs. You may not be familiar with these, but these are programs where you actually go out and put to use a lot of the things that we're going to learn in the course. So I'll be referring back to that as we go through the course, and I hope to see you all there. So that's me. I guess if we have time, and there's so few of you here, I would be interested to hear what department you're from and sort of why you're interested in the course. Is it okay if we take the time to do that, Lauren? I mean, let's take advantage of a relatively small crowd here. And Matt, since you're online, I'm going to start with you.
Hi, I'm Matt McFalls. I'm a postdoc at UCI in public health. I'm entering the second year of my postdoc. It's going by very fast. And I think part of my main interest right now in the course is that I have a lot of different uh, pieces in motion and ideas for what I'd like to be doing in the near future, possibly in academia, but also possibly in other sectors. And I've been entrepreneurial in other ways. I help my partner and we run a business that's not related to public health, but I just feel like I have a lot of things in motion I kind of want to corral as I get to the end of my postdoc, and just sort of see what can I do? Am I
Yeah, so
poised
you're
to do
sort of
consulting?
exploring. You're sort of exploring. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. And I want to, you brought up something there, and I just want to do a sidebar on. So this course is, the people who've taken this course largely, if they take a job in business, wind up in a larger company or into, in some kind of
Yeah.
commercial concern. However, every course we have one, maybe two people who really do want to start their career as entrepreneurs. And we partner in giving this certificate course and running this course with Tech Transfer at the Cove. But we actually skew it more towards people that will probably wind up in a large organization, just because that's where most people will at least initially land. So thank you, though. Maria, you want to come off mute and tell us a little bit about what's your major and why did you decide you thought you might want to know more about this
Oh,
course?
sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical troubles here. Okay.
There
Hi,
you go.
I'm a postdoc in the molecular biology department. And I have like no experience with like the business aspects of things. But I just kind of hit my 4-year mark and I'm still pretty uncertain about kind of where to go from here. So I want to explore different options.
Okay, good. Very similar to Matt. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Hui Ming, is that how you say it? You want to tell us a little bit about what I probably said it wrong. Um, how would you attack that, Laura?
Think she's off mute.
She doesn't have her mic off. Her mic's on. Is it Gao? So Hu Ming Gao? Okay. Well, I'm not close enough.
Catherine put in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, there she is. Okay, good. How should I have pronounced?
Yeah,
You can
sorry
tell,
for
was I even close pronouncing your name?
uh yeah, it's close. My name is Huimin Guo.
Huming Guo. Got it.
Yeah. I'm in Department of Material Science and Engineering. I work with Professor William Bowman. I work on energy materials. I'm interested in conversion carbon dioxide to value-added feedstocks and the fuels like convert CO2 to methanol, alcohol, kind of by using the electroceramics design and point defect engineering. Yeah. So I'm interested in this the energy material, the energy storage and conversion. I know it's also a lot of application used in the industry like fuel cell, electrolysis cell, battery, etc. Yeah, I'm interested in this session because what I did is very fundamental science, very academic, yeah,
Right.
function.
Right.
But I'm really interested in how it can convert to the business.
Oh, good. Oh, good. And I have, so one, in the marketing and sales, I worked for IBM and Intel and so on, but I was in consulting for a long, long time. And I learned so much about materials commercialization because I worked with Corning for off and on for 7 or 8 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so we'll have examples from different segments of STEM industries, but definitely we'll talk about materials. So that's good.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
very nice to meet you all, guys.
Okay, another name I can't pronounce. Let's see, Yun Song. Is that? Oh, okay. If you want to come on, is it? Let's see. Is it Fang?
Yes, I also go by Sherry.
Sherry.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually
Um,
know another Fang, so I might actually be able to handle it. But okay. Sherry.
I'm a second year PhD student under Physiology and Biophysics department and also Ophthalmology department. And
Oh,
yeah, and currently I'm studying the gene mechanism in the retina degeneration and also developing gene therapy for inherited retinal degenerations. And I'm interested in this program because since currently at my career stage, I'm interested to explore the intersection of business and biomedical application for my PhD career, and I'm trying to seek out all the resources I can find to combine those two sectors. Yeah.
that's interesting. Well, first of all, bless you, because I have a macular pucker.
Mm.
And because I have that, I had to have early cataract surgery. And so I'm getting ready for my second cataract surgery. And we'll probably do the retina surgery in May. But
Oh.
we need something better than what I'm going. It hasn't been that bad, actually. But I mean, the laser stuff is amazing. But it would be great if there was something I could do that, I could just take a pill.
Yeah.
And even in the macular pucker, they'll fix it, but it doesn't restore any eyesight. So
Oh no.
yeah. Anyway, great. Okay. Who hasn't spoken? Yun Song.
The last two are in the chat. So we have a chemistry PhD, worked in
Oh, I'd like to
consulting.
speak to them. Come on.
They both said they can't come off of mute right now.
They can't come off mute.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, they're in a situation. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad we had the time to do that. So anyway, what did they say? They said they're in
We
chemistry.
have a chemistry PhD and biomedical engineering PhD.
And anything different about why they might want to take the certificate course than what we've heard already? Or
Yeah, our chemistry PhD has worked in consulting projects in life science and also intern at the Beal Applied Innovations at the moment, and is interested in commercialization of STEM technology.
Good. Okay, good.
And then our biomedical engineering PhD has enjoyed previous opportunities with STEM startup competitions, but hasn't learned the business side of science much. So I would love to learn more formally about it.
Well, that's good. Well, that's perfect. And I've sort of spent my career, like I said, in that bridge. And, my claim to fame is that I really love scientists. and I'm married to one. And I really respect what you do, and I have personally seen the contribution that scientists have made to industry, to the STEM industry, and that's one reason I'm so excited about this course, and happy for you that you would get to see it. I'm going to share my screen now. So we've done introductions. So we're going to do this January 17th through March 7th, and we'll do it over the lunch hour with snacks. That'll hopefully get everybody there, because when you're doing a team project, the team has to be there. So we'll talk a little bit more about the team aspect of this in a minute. But it's specifically aimed at scientists. I want to tell you a little bit more about what it's like. So it's an 8-week, it's very practical. Like there's not a lot, I try to impart what I've learned over the years, but it's not really lecture. And most of what you'll have at least 30 minutes to 40 minutes every week to do the teamwork. And it has lots of many STEM examples, because of my consulting career, I interacted with, pharmaceutical companies and electronics companies, and just software, hardware, a lot of automation. So I've got specifically electronics was the core of what I did, but I've in consulting interacted with lots of different areas within STEM. So I bring those examples in. And on the materials side, I've been working for the last 3 years with a startup that used to be in ULP, and Kevin Gao comes in, and who's a PhD that now works there and is the COO, and does a really good job talking about their examples. But there's no required reading, there's no tests, there's just videos that it really helps to watch the videos, because I don't spend a lot of time going into just, here's what this word means, here's what this word means, here's what this word means. The videos are very short. We have a nice set of 2-minute videos, and they're very helpful. They're entertaining. A guy from Stanford, and then we have some longer videos from UC Berkeley and UCSF in programs that are similar to this one, and a couple of references to things you can go glance at from a reading standpoint. But there's just nothing required except teamwork. So the teamwork culminates at the end of the 8 weeks in a contest where you do a presentation. Each team does a presentation, and I'll talk again about that in a second. So the team time within each session is so that you can hear about things and then immediately put them to use. What we're doing in the course is to help you, I think, explore your options. And for those of you that are, determined that you want to go into industry, I think we can help you, give you a leg up there. And also, throughout a career, we want you to gain useful knowledge about the role of scientists in commercial organizations. Like, why are you so valuable? And I'll talk a minute about your superpower. And I know your superpower because I've used your superpower throughout my career. But we do that by giving you some basic vocabulary and, get comfortable with the language. And we use a framework called the Business Model Canvas to do that, which is a way of describing a business other than an org chart. So in lieu of an org chart, the Business Model Canvas kind of gives you a functional description of the business. And as you understand these, I think it's like 9 functional elements. As you understand them, a lot of things happen. One, you'll get to see where you might contribute to a business, like where are the roles? And if I don't talk about it explicitly, you can always ask me, but you can sort of get a sense of where you could apply your knowledge in each of those functional areas, or in most of them. The other thing the Business Model Canvas does for you is it allows, it's a way of looking at a business that allows you to answer the fundamental question, which is, can we make money? Is this a business worth having? So, that's the framework we're going to use. And in using that framework, it's often used in the context of formulating a business strategy and understanding the can we make money part, the economics of, not only the economics of what you get from the customer, but the economics of what you deliver to the customer. And like I said, to get to that level, of the economics, we don't spend a lot of time, in teaching any sort of finance, we'll have one session on finance, which is taught by a guy from Tech Transfer from the Cove, who teaches it at Chapman, but it's very high level. Instead, what we're going to do for all of this sort of understanding the business model canvas and the 9 elements of the business, functional elements, we're going to use generative AI to formulate testable hypotheses about business value. Because like I said, the purpose of that business model canvas is to figure out, is this a valuable business or not, on both sides, for you and the potential customer. And Gen AI is out there. You all have access to Zot GPT. I use Gemini, pretty similar. And you're scientists, so you understand hypotheses. And that's actually what you populate the business model canvas with, hypotheses. So we're going to have a tool for you, even though you don't know much about business, particularly, or industry. You can use AI now to help you formulate hypotheses that then can be tested. And we'll talk more about testing about hypotheses in the course. Then that all culminates in you presenting your business model canvas in the 8th session to a panel of entrepreneurs and large company executives. And this is just a wonderful experience. We're going to bring in somebody to help you prepare for that, who is a specialist in business communication. So you're going to learn how to present your ideas and your story in a compelling manner. And then we'll have a contest at the very end. So any questions about, what is the course? Did anything come up here where you might have a follow-up question? Okay. If you think of something, you can put it in the chat. All right. So what is your superpower? Your proven expertise and experience with the scientific method, which is critical to innovation, technical and business innovation. A lot of people in business don't understand hypotheses formulation and testing. So as a result, there's a lot of seat of the pants stuff that goes on in business. Or it's like, what did I do last time? How, I'll just do that again this time, which the problem with business is there's so many variables. And, it's a really, just intellectually, it's very interesting to think about this, because it's as many variables as you've probably ever confronted in your academic life. I don't know, maybe not, but it seems like there's a lot of variables to me, because there's all these variables about the technology and the market and the environment and the government and the customers and et cetera. So you can't just cut and paste what you did last time. And you have to almost live and breathe hypotheses, new information, altered hypotheses, new information, altered hypotheses. And that's the best business people, the people that do that. And you're good at that already. And it's critical to innovation, because I need to be testing. Innovation means new, right? And so kind of by definition, there's variables I've never run into or situations I've never run into. So to be able to just very quickly be able to generate and test hypotheses with new information, that is the key to innovation. And innovation is critically important to commercial enterprises. If they don't grow, they die. And I want you to be able to see that during the course. I want you to be able to articulate it if you get a job interview, and understand it and just feel comfortable with it, because you've got a real leg up, and I want you to use it. Once you land, if you do go into a commercial organization, once you land your research and development or development job, you'll be comfortable with the tools necessary to participate in what's called innovation commercialization teams. They have different names, but essentially when a company or an enterprise wants to innovate, they form a cross-functional team, and they say, you guys go figure this out. Is this a real business opportunity or not? And you're going to have the tools to do that, at least a very in-depth introduction to the tools to do that. And like I said, you already have the superpower to take that tool and make it work for an employer. And again, you need to be able to articulate that, if you're looking for a job. Once you get into the company, you'll also, you may enter through research and development, or there's other entry points. And we're going to talk about that. In fact, Lauren Lyon, our program director, maybe just say a little bit about what your background is, you know, and your interaction with STEM scientists and the work world.
Yeah,
I'm
so I have a completely non STEM background. I am a licensed therapist, and so I come from that lens. But I love, just like Chris had said, love working with scientists, and that's why I'm in this job and helping you all move forward in that aspect. Because like Chris said, you all have a superpower, and I think it's amazing what you all bring to the table, and to being able to understand the back end of these things through this type of course and use your experience and expertise is amazing. So many people go through their PhDs but don't understand the back end, and that's, like Chris says, is good, but it's not taking it to the next step. And being able to do this will be really, really invaluable for you. And I don't know much about the back end of science either, but I learned through these types of things and learn from you all, and it's amazing to watch.
What do you mean by back end?
Like the business model canvas, how things run, and all of those types of things. You can have the
Oh.
expertise, like you said, but not understand how things are running, and you can just go in and
Why
have
people
that.
are asking the questions they're asking, or why are they doing what
Yeah.
they're yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that. I didn't warn you about that, but I thought you also had a background before you had this job in placement or career development.
Career development. Yeah. And that's where that comes from, of people who want to go into these, fields, but they don't necessarily have the knowledge base for it. You have the expertise in your area, but no knowledge base in the industry that you're trying to get into. And that's, you're at UCI and you're learning your specialty, and so that's understandable. And so being able to take place in these types of certificate programs and opportunities, it makes such a difference when you're applying to positions. Just the way you interact in interviews, or even how you write your resume and talk about your skills, will just be marketably different compared to everybody else, and really shine for when you're up for those applications.
Good, thank you.
Mhm.
Again, sorry to surprise you.
That's
So either at entry, if you don't want to enter into a scientific job, we are going to address, what are some of the other entry points. So we'll do that during the course. And then if you have that job, you want to be able to spot opportunities to move out of, if you're wanting to get out of research, where would you move to? So in either case, whether you're entering the job market in something outside of a research job, or whether you're in a research job and you want to move, this course will help you see how you might over a period of time navigate your career, and really make the most of what your superpower is. So that's that. Questions or comments on that? So, like I said, we've been doing this for several years, and for the last few years, we've been doing these surveys. And what you're looking for up there is the orange, and we do pretty good. I think people are pretty happy. We don't get a lot of, we never get a disagree. We get some somewhat disagreeing, and I want to address those dark blues somewhat disagrees. So the couple things that we've been hearing over time, and this has led us to change the course. I actually revised the syllabus in preparation for this session of the course starting in January. One was we need more time in the sessions themselves to work with the team. So wherever possible, I've whacked stuff back. The other thing I've done there is I want to talk about is we have introduced this AI element. And I think that having that AI element is really going to focus what the team needs to do each time. And I think that's why another reason people felt they didn't have enough team time is because they were didn't know exactly what the team should be doing. So giving you guys more specific direction about what you should be doing each time you get into your team, and showing you how AI can help you get it done. I will spend more time, moving around the teams and helping, but I think it's just going to make everything so much more efficient. And we have to really integrate AI. I think you're going to like this, because you'll see in this particular use case how we've integrated AI and how we're leveraging it, not to do our job, but to help us be better at our job. And a specific thing on that note about wandering around and not having more specific guidance is people said by the time we started working on our business model canvas in our teams, it was really late and they had to scramble at the end. So we're going to fix that. Like we're going to make sure things get done on a timely manner, but also bring in some ways, the sophistication of what the teams will be asked to do, bring that further up in the sessions, but give you the tools and guidance that you need to get a better start so that you're not, scrambling at the end. So on that note, this is the agenda. A lot of these words don't mean anything to you here, but just at a very high level. So we're going to teach you the business model canvas, and you're going to, let me put an arrow on this, form teams. And that's kind of what we need to do the first session. Then you really need to come up with a concept. So what the business model canvas is, it describes a potential business. And that's typically a business that is around a particular product or service. And we would like you to be thinking about that. You have 2 weeks to do that, to finalize that, the first session, and then you have to have it done by the end of the second session. But think about, is there something in the lab, that, hey, that'd be fun to see what would a business look like around that technology, or something that you're personally interested in. There are some team dynamics, and we'll manage that, so that we don't just have one person, dominating the team. But I really would like you all to come with your own ideas, and we're developing a list, but I wouldn't rely on that. I would think about it yourself and think about what some interesting ideas might be from your perspective, because the person who's doing the list might not do it. But we'll help you, we'll get you there. And then you can see the next 3 sessions, these session 3, 4, and 5, we're going to be constructing hypotheses and using AI prompts to do that. And I'm going to teach you what the prompts, at least some starter prompts that you might want to use to formulate your hypotheses. We will have, like I said, a couple of speakers come in, at least one in particular, who will talk about how do you test those hypotheses. In this course, we don't have time to test them, because the primary test of these hypotheses is direct market research. And so we don't have time to do that. Not, primary market research, not even secondary market research. So it's going out and talking to people, in other words. Well, we don't have time to do that, but you'll see how that works. And it's an amazing process, but at least you'll know how to construct the hypotheses. Then you'll complete your canvas, and you'll start to draft your presentation. And then, like I said, we have this Bree McWhorter coming in, who's been doing this from the very beginning with us, who is phenomenal at teaching scientists how to present and feel comfortable presenting, particularly on a topic that is somewhat new to you, like business. So you'll get a lot of help with that. And then we'll have the contest at the end. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to turn it over to Lauren to talk a little bit about how other people have experienced the course, but I want to stop again for questions, comments. I would like a reaction, like, how are y'all reacting to this? Is this what you thought it might be about, or is this kind of overwhelming? How are you feeling about this? Somebody, anybody? You want me to call on somebody?
We have one in
Maria.
the chat and says, yes, I'm
Maria.
excited for this course.
Good. Good.
I think it's exciting, but I'm also like a bit worried about it.
Why?
The idea of like coming up with a concept for a business in like such a short time seems
Well, you're going
intimidating
to
me.
have, hopefully we're going to have enough people that you'll have 4 or 5 team members.
Yeah,
You'll have at least 3. So they may have a concept as well. I want everybody to come with one,
yeah,
but it might be a service. It doesn't have to be a technology, yeah. Yeah. And like I said, we'll help you,
yeah,
we need you to get there early. I can't, in prior courses, people literally, as you saw in the feedback, have waited till maybe the 6th or 6th session at least to come up with those.
yeah.
And so then they're just scrambling at the end. So we won't let that happen this time. We really need those so we'll assist. I want to
Okay.
say, but just think about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Fang, any comments, or how are you feeling about it? think I lost her.
Yeah, I feel the class contents are very interesting. A lot of concepts are really not familiar in the science part. Yeah, I mean, is it also very helpful for us to find jobs in the industry?
Yeah. Not just find a job, but do an amazing job in the interview and have your resume look different than everybody else's. That's
Wow.
there's a lot of programs in GPS, and some of them are, I think, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, more directed at finding a job, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but this is
Correct.
getting the job. You know?
Right. This is we have lots of events where we'll teach you how to do a resume, teach you how to interview, teach you all those kind of basics. But this
Yeah.
course, like you get to put this on your CV. Like this is a project that you would do that would just enhance and be something that is completely different on your resume or your CV. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to learn how to do something. It's something that's tangible and applicable that you can put and market yourself when applying to jobs. So it's that like next level type of engagement.
Gotcha. Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, looking forward.
Oh, good. I am too. I think, anybody else? Fang? She's not Sherry or whatever. Anyone else? Okay. All right. I'm going to turn it back to Lauren and stop. Should I stop sharing or should I just keep driving the
You
slide?
keep going. Yep, go ahead. You can just keep driving.
All right.
We have a few more people in the chat who said, looks very interesting. I like the flow of the course and I'm excited about the process.
Good. Good.
So we just have some quotes. As Chris said, we've been doing this for several years and there's been some awesome people who have come through and had really good success. And kind of to your point about, you know, how does this apply going forward? This is a pull-out quote and we can get you these slides as well so you can read through them, right? But to your point, this knowledge gave me a competitive edge during my transition from academia to industry, right? So talking about how the most beneficial elements was the business pitch competition that we do at the end. Giving a unique opportunity to problem solve. And so again, these practical, tangible skills that you'll gain, leadership training, strategic thinking, creative communication skills. It helped her understand relevant business topics such as value proposition, market fit, and business strategy, helped with that transition. And obviously she recommends the course. So again, you're going into these things already knowing the language and not only just, oh, I learned the language, but here's how I applied it. And here's how I problem solved. And here's how I worked with a team. And all of these other places, not only just, oh, I know what these things are, but let me tell you exactly how I've done them. And that's a fantastic opportunity to be able to have.
The presentations are awesome. You're not going to believe what a fabulous presentation you're going to give.
Yeah. Another one, so the business concepts course really helped me jumpstart my transition after getting my PhD. Not only did I learn about business jargon, financial statements, and the business model canvas, but I benefited from getting to hear the perspectives from business experts in various industries. So Chris is doing the hard work of bringing them to you, right? So you don't have to go out and do these informational interviews and like, who do I talk to? Where do I learn this stuff? It's all going to come to you and for you then to be able to learn and implement.
Well, that's a good point. I don't think I mentioned the variety of speakers we're going to bring in. Yeah. A lot of people with PhDs who have successful commercial careers is what we want to expose in STEM industry. So that's what we want to expose you to. And they're there to answer questions either during the course or, you know, they're all very good about speaking to people afterwards.
Yeah. And some more, and again, we'll give you these slides, but it helps demystify industry. So you might not create your own business, and so you might not have to go through this process for your own, but all the companies that you might be applying to if you go towards industry have gone through this process and do speak this language. And so you'll have that firsthand experience of knowing kind of their process and what they've gone through and demystify that. Opportunity to actually create a business pitch will be a challenge. I mean, that's part of it, right? So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge, but you're not doing it alone. You'll have, again, expert speakers. You'll have Chris, you'll have me, you'll have your team. And so it's a great stretch opportunity for you to apply your skills and your knowledge in a completely new way. And now just being also better able to follow business discussion. So again, businesses have already gone through this and they're going to be talking the language because it's what they do. And so they're not going to take the time necessarily to explain everything to you. And so you can just jump in from the get-go. And then as I think, Chris, I don't know if you mentioned it in this one, but people have gone on to then found their own businesses after this, right? And so you don't necessarily have to do a real life, like something that you can and will take to market, but some people have in the past, and it's been really helpful in the getting jump started for that process. And then this is, we're not going to play it here, but in here is the business pitch competition from last year. So if you want to look at what that looks like, you can go ahead and watch. And I think, Chris, it's right around 9 minutes, right? Is the folks who did really well.
Oh, was it 9 or was it 7? I think it was 7:40. I think right around
7:40. Okay.
Well, this is interesting. The team that won it was one of the very few teams we've ever had who had an actual idea they wanted to take to market. And I think that content was impressive to the judges. The second place team actually did a better job of showing that they had absorbed and could apply all of the things that we talked about in the course. So there's a couple of really good examples in there. And then you can just look at all of them and you can see the varying degrees to which the teams kind of had depth and credibility in what they were saying. But I think 7:40, the name of that team, I forget what it was, but anyway.
Yeah. Send it out in the email too in the follow-up.
Oh, good. Yeah, send it out.
But yeah, all the teams did great. I mean, I watched through this before. I didn't get to go last year, but I've watched through it, and I mean, they all did great. But you can see their different approaches and also the different range of topics that they come up with.
No one's asked what you get if you win the contest.
Anybody curious? I'm sure they
are. I don't think we know, do we?
No. You get a congratulations. You get to win in front of very influential people.
Yes, you get to feel good about yourself. And sometimes there's been like Starbucks cards and little monetary this and that, but it's more for fun, and and I think you will have fun. Yeah.
All right. I think the next one is just our FAQs, right? So obviously this is free. You do have to be a GPS STEM member, and all of you are eligible to be GPS STEM members, and I'll send you information on making sure that you get registered for GPS STEM. And it's very simple, so I'll make sure you get that.
That's the larger program of which this is a part, right?
Correct. Yep. So, and as we mentioned in the beginning, it's running every Friday from January 17 to March 7. March 7 will be that business pitch competition. From noon to 1:30, I'll bring snacks and goodies for us to be able to munch on and do throughout the Fridays. And then it is a certificate so that you can, again, put that on your CV or your resume, but you must attend all of the classes, one pre-approved expectation. And so again, this is prepping you for the next step after UCI. So, I mean, if you need to communicate, and if you can't communicate because it's an emergency situation or something, follow up right after and say, hey, there was an emergency, I wasn't able to make it. But you have to display that professional etiquette if you are going to be missing a session. And then you need to also connect with your team, make sure you follow up on what was missed, all of those things, and complete all the assignments / participate, right? So completing the assignments is participating during those 90 minutes. And then we will ask for feedback as we go along, just so that, as Chris mentioned, we are updating this, right? So we need that feedback in order to continue to update it for next year's. And then how much time will it take? The only requirement is the 1.5 hours. So we will design this so that if you work efficiently in your team within that 1.5, you won't need to do anything outside. If you want to take it a step further and you want to do other things, we can provide extra videos and resources that you can look into. And if your team wants to meet outside and do that, you can, but that's not going to be a requirement. And we've built in enough time for you to do it within that 1.5 hours. Okay.
I have to say, most teams get pretty jazzed about it the night before.
Yeah.
That's when the 2 hours happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions on that or things that we're not answering that you are curious about?
So, go ahead. There was someone speaking.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so what happens after this? What communication? They'll get a copy of this. What else then they'll get what?
Yeah, I'll double check to see if you all are GPS STEM members. If not, you'll hear from us on how to complete registration for GPS STEM. And then the registration for the series will open up soon. And you'll be first notified of that because attending the info session gives you priority registration because we have seats, plenty of seats, and we want there to be enough people to come, but we also have to cap it off because we have teams, right? And so it is going to be limited seats. And so you all from attending the info session will have priority registration. And that'll be for 1 week. So from when I open it up, I'll give you all a week to register for that. And then I'm going to open it up to other folks in GPS STEM. So watch for my emails about that, and I'll give you enough time to make sure you can sign up for GPS STEM and everything else beforehand as well. But
and on that point, we will open it up at some point, and you'll have these slides available to you, or just if you are excited about what you heard, go back to your lab,
Yep.
see if there's anybody else there that maybe wants to do it with you, and maybe the two of you can brainstorm concepts together, or the three of you, or whatever. We've had teams that are 4 or 5 people from the same lab. So, think about that, your friends or your lab mates, and we'll have more fun if we have fully fleshed out teams.
yeah, just because you invite someone doesn't mean you have to team up with them either. So, I mean, if you want to come in with a preformed team, great. But if you invite someone, you don't have to be on their team. We can help facilitate that team building and everything within there too.
Great point. And you're going to send out a link to this video as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. Good. Okay.
All right. Well, that's it, I think, for our presentation. So we'll stick around if you do have questions, but watch for an email from me. And we're excited to hopefully have you participate in winter.